Hello, everybody, apart from Fairlight Excalibur, and welcome to this week's non-episode of Tablestory Does Fail. Yay! Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Normally, we would be playing D&D right about now, but unfortunately, Fairlight Excalibur has, I'm not going to say it, what if he actually has died?
You can't make those jokes.
He's not here. No one knows where he is. Let's hope he's okay. Let's be honest, there's a fucking huge chance that he's asleep because he stayed up all night. We spoke to him this morning, and whenever he's speaking to me during the day on a Wednesday, and I'm in my, when I'm there like, dude, we have like D&D in a few hours, and he's like, yeah, it's all good. I'm like, this is off, this show.
Today we're fucked.
Unfortunately, this week's episode is the only episode I have written for 37 episodes which requires Raja and cannot be done without him, and therefore we just can't do it. Like literally any other episode, I could have just been like, oh, okay, well, I'll either role play Raja a little bit, or we'll just have him walk off fucking stage left, and then he'll just show up, whatever. I can have him any old magic bullshit happen, apart from this one. This is the only one I really need him for. I also kind of need him for the next one at the beginning, at least. There's just nothing I can do about it. I can't run the episode without him. I can't even just cobble together a fucking thing for you guys to do because of how we ended the last episode.
Right.
Yeah. We're just
right.
Terrible fucking time.
Like I said, if you hadn't fucked the whole city, we could have done a city episode.
But it was such a good ending.
We could have just walked around though.
I can't help it. I have to run weird epic cliffhanger endings sometimes, or I don't feel right as a DM.
Chad said it's his revenge for the musket repeater.
It's definitely his revenge. He'll never let that go.
It
so
much. He can't let it go.
Unfortunately, since Fairlight's not here, we can't run a proper episode. So we thought, since we'd already started the fucking stream, because he's often like a few minutes late, so we just start the titles rolling, and he shows up and he's all bleary-eyed, like, oh, hey guys, it's me, Fairlight Excalibur.
Yeah, that's
New York. I'm from New York. I need my coffee or I can't roleplay. So we just started the stream and he's just not showed up. So we just figured that we'd just say hi.
They're happy.
I called it the Dust Veil Cast Impromptu D&D Podcast. So you get this weird impromptu D&D podcast, where I figure the rest of us can just talk about some shit. Maybe we'll do some Q&A stuff.
We can
see if anyone's got some random questions to throw at us, and we'll just fill like an hour of time.
That aren't about PewDiePie. Questions that are not about PewDiePie.
Yeah, there's a reason I wrote impromptu D&D podcast. Yeah. No PewDiePie questions today. The only, unless you can somehow link it, which they will, to Dust Veil and D&D. Are you ever going to have PewDiePie on it? No, he's too busy.
But
next question.
But what if PewDiePie played Childish Gambino in his new video in D&D?
No Childish Gambino questions either. Yes, I edited the video. No, I won't be taking questions about it.
Yeah, can we talk about bonus meme?
No, just one stream where I don't have to talk about bonus meme, please.
This is like his solace, the sanctuary from it all week, and I've ruined it.
This is my sanctuary.
Fucking ruined it.
Hero is suggesting we roll our new characters.
All right, so if you were to roll new characters today, what would you roll? Let's start with Jay Brotato.
It'd be a cleric, dude. Just Bob the Canadian.
Bob the Canadian cleric?
Yeah. 100%.
I'd have to make Canada though in the game. I'd have to make somewhere that was very...
I mean, not actually Canadian. It would just be Bob the cleric. He's just Bob.
I have a very rough map of the world of Lacrin. Shall I like show you it?
I would love to see that.
Because I don't think I've ever really shown it.
How does one make Canada?
That's what I would do. What I would do is I would say, okay, Jay, because I like to let players be whatever they want to be to the best of my ability. Like I don't think I could stretch so far as to have someone be like from Canada and they slipped into a wormhole and they showed up in whatever. But I would definitely like make somewhere that was similar enough to Canada that it could be justified. I think.
I think that's just the whole north. That's the northern part of Swords Edge, or Blades Edge. What is it called? Sword Coast. But what are the mountains called though? I'm thinking Blades Edge
spine
Mountain.
of the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was thinking World of Warcraft. Blades Edge Mountain.
Yeah, I've not played it, so I don't know. All right, well, Connor, what would you make?
I mean, obviously, I can expect everyone to think I'm going to say a dwarf, which wouldn't be the case.
Oh, really?
No.
A husky halfling.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe a race not humanoid.
Kobold, do it.
Potentially, or go like the. I'm thinking about it in my head. I don't know if it's an actual race or not, but like a mech.
Yeah, you can do like Warforged.
Oh yeah,
Mech.
like Legion.
Yeah.
Legion
you
was a
could Legion,
Warforged,
yeah.
I was
Yeah,
so
from
angry
Storm
in
King's Thunder.
Dungeons and Dragons Online when they replaced half orc with Warforged. I was so angry. I used to always play half orc. Anyways, Connor, go.
Yeah. No. Playing a mech
Yeah.
and I'll probably try out monk. Yeah, that's a class I've never looked into really.
Have extendo fists.
Yeah, Monk's an interesting one because they're like dex based, but if you're going to be dex based, you're probably going to want to be a rogue. So like, why play the monk? That's what inspired me to choose monk for Gooch, because I was like, well, like in Jay's campaign Ilios, at first I played a goblin monk because I was like, well, I just want to play like a monk, but like I don't really like the monk class that much, but I want to play something really different, and so I was like, no one plays monks ever, so I'm going to do it. Everyone always plays a druid, which I think is the worst class.
Really?
That's
a
the
good
wrong that's the
segue.
wrong way to word it. It's my least favorite class, is what
Oh,
I
okay.
should say.
Yeah.
My least favorite is a druid, and my most favorite is a sorcerer. But that's the next question. Tenchi, what would you play if you had to re-roll a character now?
I kind of want to just play a barbarian again. That's what I started with years ago, and God, it's so easy. Like I'm going to rage, and you run to the nearest thing and just roll dice until everything dies. And then you grab the totem barbarian that literally has half damage to everything but psychic, and you're just like, ha 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 ha.
Isn't
But
that didn't you play a barb in the one shot that we did? Your barbarian was hilarious. The one right before Ascendance with Morag?
And Elspeth?
Yeah, like way back. And Baru, way back.
That was good times.
That was a really funny barbarian. I would love to see that character again.
That's all my characters I'm realizing are just the same now. It's literally like, lolos, never pays attention, just in their own mind. And it's just like,
It's a running
they're
theme.
funny because they're contrary. Like, next
For
character's
some
gonna be
reason,
boring.
I don't have the image that I was looking for, but I have it inside of a Google Doc. So I had to go into a Google Doc and then print screen the image that I wanted so that I can show you the rough world map. And it is just so much more effort than I really wanted to go
That's fair.
to show you it. What about you, Tuesday? If you could re-roll a new character.
I would have probably gone with Druid until I heard you shit all over him. This is you guys remember I was considering a Druid. Brad was like, those suck. And also Jay was like, yeah, they're really bad. And I was like, oh wow, I just don't know enough about D&D to know.
I think the thing with a druid is also
I
you're
remember
super
how you-
quiet. I don't know if you're
you're really
everyone
quiet.
else. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
am I too quiet? Can you guys hear me better now?
The
That's a little
thing
better.
with the druid, is that they are kind of strong until about level 4, I think. And the moon one is like straight up broken until like level 4, and then they just become lame forever. So if your campaign is only going to be short and you start early, then it's generally a good class. But my other issue with druids, and this is, I'm just going to be snobby now, is that everyone plays the same druid and they're just a druggie. They're just a weed smoking
That
whatever.
would not have been my take, but
They always
That happens
everyone's just a
anyway.
stoner druid. Like that's how everyone RPs the druid.
Huh.
And I'm like, no.
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 Lame.
What was you?
I
What
will
was you
actually
gonna?
choose would be a Sork.
Yeah,
I'd see how I could.
I think they're the
Sorcerer
best.
is really fun. I didn't think it would be this fun until I played it.
Nice.
I think they're the best
Yeah.
class. I just think that like the thing is they're so interesting. Even if you take the other one, the
The dragon one is objectively more powerful, I would say.
The
but
draconic,
not as fun.
Draconic ancestry makes you strong because you don't have to fuck around with mage armor
And
anymore.
you can fly.
And you
Just
can fly
saying.
later.
Yeah.
And the wild magic is just the most fun you can have in a class based on the book without fucking with it. And you get almost as many spells as a wizard, and the meta magic is just so useful. So you just have this crazy amount of utility in and out of battle.
The only
and
thing
it's
you
just
don't get is spell replacement and more spells. That's like the only downside.
You kind of
that I've
do with
found.
the meta magic, kind
Well,
of. But yeah,
like,
you
like
don't.
the ability to like just hoard spells, right? Because like if I was a wizard with that much gold that we just had, I would have gone and like fucking scribed in a shit ton of new
just
spells.
go and buy loads of spells.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think objectively they're the best one. Here's the world map. Roughly.
Oh, shit. Okay, guys, the cameras
So-
are gonna be out of whack. I didn't bother sorting them.
Oh yeah, don't worry.
I don't care right now. I didn't bother sorting them.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
So this is actually like a rough. So I created the whole world, which is weird. I did that thing that we always tell people not to do, which is over prepare for episode 1. But I had actually prepared this whole entire world for another campaign that I never ran. And I had an idea for a campaign that I might still run one day, so I won't go into it. But there is all these different continents, and they all each have their own individual thing on them. And the idea of the other campaign was to go around the whole world and visit each individual special continent, which has its own individual thing going on. And Dustvale was one of them. And there's just all these different ones. And like a few times I've mentioned in the campaign the Sky Islands in the west, because the trees that are in the temples are from there, basically. Like they're like exactly that's a special tree that you can only find in this one place. And so it's really interesting to find in this like fucking desert wasteland, right?
Yeah.
And so I made this whole fucking place, and each of these places has a very basic rough idea. There's the kingdom of Thelmesia in the middle, which is like this is the typical fantasy kingdom, right? If you were to start the campaign, you'd start it there. Like that is your basic everyday fucking fantasy, swords and knights and princesses and stuff like that. Then you have the Mistlands, which is just literally Dustvale but covered in mist. There's Dark Vale, which is an evil place.
Yeah, I want to go to Dark Vale.
I saw Dark Vale. I was like, oh, I want to go there.
Yes.
It's like it's a wasteland of poisonous creatures and undead monstrosities, and going here is considered
it's
akin
Twitch
to
chat?
suicide.
What's up? It's campaign number 2. Hello.
Yeah.
Campaign 2, Dark Vale, where you all get like sent from. Yeah, if you fail your mission, you'll go to Dark
becomes
Vale.
Dark
You just
Vale?
get banished.
Dustvale, I wrote, you know what it is. There's the Coral Kingdom, which is like a water kingdom, and it's under the sea. So there's all the mermaids and merfolk and things like that live there. There's the Giant Lands, which is where the giants are. The Far West Sky Islands, which is an archipelago of sky islands, which are like this just marvel to the science people. Like all the gnomes that created the trains are like, we don't understand how this works. You just can't deal with it. But all of the druids and shit fucking love that place. So if you were a druid, that would be your like mecca. There's the homeland for the dwarves, which is called Darndal. There's Alexandria, which is the humans. Dioscorin, which is the gnomes. Muzon, which is the tiefling homeland. And there's this place called the Shores of Fireheim, which I've mentioned as well, because that was where I was going to start the other campaign. So I have all this random shit that I just know about this random place, like that there are these particular mushrooms that are really spicy from there in this cave. And you guys, like Walter ate one of these mushrooms from this place, which is like across the other side of the world. So I had this whole fucking world built, and one of them would be Canada if we needed it to be. I guess the Mistlands or Dragon's Reach. There's a couple of other places on there as well.
Which one looks the most like Canada?
Yeah, which one?
Wait. I think I've already found it, but probably the green. It's
Canada.
pretty close to Canada.
Well, let's see if I can let's just make it into Canada now.
We'll just make it Canada. I actually don't know if I can clear those drawings. I'm so sorry.
Canada! There you go. No, it's okay. I'm going to delete this whole thing. This is just today's little stream thing. So there's a little bit of just random knowledge for you. That's what I have the whole world. I haven't referenced it much, but Dust Vale is actually just part of this whole continent. Because I wanted to start, when I made it, I was like, I need to know kind of the whole world. Like, I knew this was going to be set on one continent, and what if they question anything? What if they don't want to be from there? What if they ever ask about some other place in the world? Why wouldn't they know? Because it's quite technologically advanced.
So, you just made an entire planet.
I just made a whole fucking... It's like, I think this is like my 4th world that I've built, and it's fucking horrible. Like, when you're like, any DMs out there will understand if you've done the thing where you build the whole world, name every motherfucker in it, and then the players see 1%.
At best.
And I don't really run like hugely long-term campaigns either, but I just like to... I'm a prepper DM, I think. I like to know the information before I improvise it, because my memory's not very good either. So a lot of the time when someone is questioning me on something, if I have the information prepared somewhere, like even if it's kind of been in my brain once 2 years ago, at least I kind of know that there's this place called Alexandria in the world. So I have something to reference, because otherwise improvising things, I tend to just go over myself, or I'll say something wrong and it'll unstick me later on. Like they'll be like, yeah, but you like the fucking dude. What was that dude's name that I couldn't remember? Jitzel. And his name is Jitzel or Ritzel, and it's just because I had fucking just improvised names and write them down wrong, or write them in 2 different places and shit. So that's my memory. So I like to prepare things, but the thing is, it's just like you do this thing where you build like a whole world and then you're done.
So that's a question I've always had when we're playing, and you're like, well, one sec, I'm gonna look that up. What is your system for tracking just random? Do you have like Google spreadsheets with city names, or?
Yeah, I have. So Dust Vale, I have a Google Drive, and in there I have a couple of different D&D folders. There's all these different D&D folders that I've got running, and then inside the Dust Vale one, I have Arden, Dust Vale campaign, which is basically where I have each episode, like episode 1, which is my notes for that, and then underneath that 2, and notes for that, and inside that I jot down notes while we're playing as well. So Control F is my best friend.
I was gonna say you're Control F. I'm guessing,
You do kind of
Control F.
me then.
Is the only way I can remember what's going on. And usually if you see me kind of doing this thing, like while I'm DMing, I'm usually Control F, like Elixir of Time. When the fuck did I give them that? I'm like going through it, like Elixir of Time. I'm like searching Elixir, I'm searching time, and I find it like episode 3, Elixir of Time, old man given, and then I'll have some really weird note that I've written, like old man with mustache gave it to them, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got it from him. You're not just lying, at least. I have Dust Vale locations, Dust Vale lore stuff. What is that? Oh wait, that's what's happening. That's the whole story. That's what's going on with the princess. With Solomon.
I've got like an index. Like I have a numbered index for Ilios that I had, where it was like I could scroll through and see it any time on a Google Doc.
Yeah, so that is your. When you're playing a game that has a lot of story, like fucking Final Fantasy 13 or something, and it just does that thing where it gives you a fucking block of text as you unlock it as you do each level. That's that. If you read that at the beginning of this campaign, it would break the whole thing. I have Dust Vale NPCs. I have Dust Vale drugs. I have Lacrin, which is the world. I have a Raja, and I have a Solomon document. And then I have 2 untitled documents. Let's find out what they are. That is gambling. And that one is... I have no idea what that is. Oh, this is just empty. And then I have a separate folder with locations, Dread Tusk and Sin River in it, because they're so big that they had their own document. So I have a lot of Google Docs with a lot of shit, and it's really sporadic.
Yeah.
And the longer it goes on, the more crazy I become. You'll notice I spend a lot of time going, I can't remember, I don't know, and I'm looking for something for ages now.
You actually
instead of
don't,
just bam.
Which is one of the reasons I was curious about it. It might seem like that.
Oh, it feels like I'm there for like 20 minutes looking for a thing. I mean,
Doesn't seem like it.
one of the things that's quite nice about you lot as a group is I can literally just go, oh, you guys are sat in a tavern, and then I just shut up because I'm looking for a thing, and you guys will just RP for 25 minutes while I'm going, where's this elixir of time? Where the fuck is the elixir? And I'm just searching and searching. Yeah, or I'm building a map in Roll20 or something, and like, because I just know, but that's not always the case with every group. Sometimes like I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I have a lot of notes. The biggest one is the campaign document, which is now. How do I find out how many pages this is? Is there a way to find out in Google Docs what we're on? Because it's still loading right now. It's huge. There's so much to it. Oh, here we go. It's 57 pages long right now.
Oh,
and that's the whole campaign. And for the most part, it's just split up into episodes. So chapters 1 through 37. I also have a lot of notes that are just stuff that I put after the fact, because it's stuff that I know I want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Descriptions of places that you're going to go to. If I come up with something interesting, if I find an image that I like and I'm like, that's a character, that's going in. Like when we saw the
speckle rats, that image.
Speckle rat. There was
the
the speckle rats. Well, there's a couple that I just that were just inspiration for me when I was making this. There was this one of Titan, and that was a really cool
that is
image that really helped me come up with the idea for the Titan, and that person in front of Titan is the princess, and that was how I came up with this person who is able to control this weird like earth deity elemental thing. And there was like these like I just wanted these dudes in it, the sand cultists, which we now know are the oracles of hope. They just look cool, and all of those images are just in here. I throw images like that in here as well.
Yeah,
it's a fucking mess. If your DM thing isn't a fucking mess, you're not doing it right, I don't think.
Not doing it. You're not working hard enough.
If you're not somewhat in a panic attack at all times when your players are asking you stuff,
you're not.
then you're not putting enough effort in.
My god, I want to do something with the speckle rat. Look at him.
Oh yeah, don't I
you
still have one?
Oh yeah, you have one.
Oh,
I have one in my bag. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And a key word there. Had.
I hope it doesn't eat the cat.
We had one.
I really hope it doesn't eat the cat.
Oh,
you have a speckle rat. You have a speckle rat. The cat.
Oh
what if the cat eats the speckle rat and becomes a speckled cat?
That would be fucking dope, and I'm totally okay with it.
They just fuse
I'm pretty
into
okay with
a
a
thing.
rainbow cat.
Together, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The speckle rats, I just was like, I have this thing where I kind of I try to justify things that will be in like a cave or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, I need something that slows this thing down. The whole point of that thing, and it didn't really work out this way, but the Raging Rex episode, you guys just rolled so well that you didn't have to do anything. But the whole thing was just a rip-off of X Atmos from Final Fantasy VIII, which is a point where your team is running away from this big mechanical spider thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you run through the maps and it chases after you, and every time it catches you, you have to engage with it and fight it. And the point was that you were going to get knocked off the tracks. Chambambulus was going to fix the thing, and you had to fight it for like 1d6 rounds, and then he would fix it and you'd go again and get away from it. That was kind of the intention of the whole thing. But instead, you guys just rolled so well, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to get him out of this cave and make him fight it. Actually, no, I made you roll one thing to determine whether you'd fight or not. I think Raja did it and failed the roll. It was as you was launching through the air, and I was like, I'll just base it on this. If they fight it, they fight it. If not, I had Thin Dune prepared, so I was just like, I'll just have them go and do the beginning entrance part to Thin Dune and just look at it, and then we'll end the episode there, maybe. But that whole thing, I was like, I need something to slow them down. So I just invented this thing called a speckle rat that just it's just a Deus Ex creature that jumps onto the wheels and slows it down and then just launches off at the end safely.
That was super fun.
They're almost definitely not called speckle rats either, because this is just the weird way that Chambambulus thinks, right? They're probably called like rainbow ooze or something if they were in the monster manual. But Chambambulus calls them the speckle rat. The Raging Rex is definitely not called Raging Rex. In Gnomish on there somewhere is its real name.
But that's his cutesifying of.
But Chambambulus and the other kobolds are all crazy and weird. Yeah. I see them as they're just my get out of jail free card gnome train network that we still need.
Yeah.
So, but you can't. They're like the legal route, and you're in trouble with the authorities. So I just had them be the exact same creature, but just crazy with their little weird junkyard trains.
They're plurals. I love them.
And they're plurals. But it's also how Chambambulus Bambambulus is also what I call my dog sometimes. Because I call him Chan because he just responds to it. His name is Merlin, but he doesn't respond to it well enough for me to get. It's like Merlin. He just goes, "Yeah, that's my name." If I go Chan, he goes, "I'm standing to attention, sir. What do you want?" I don't know what it means or what he associates it with, but I've always just called him Chan. So I say Chambambulus and stuff to him all the time because I'm just weird. And there was just one day when I was just sat there and I just called Merlin. I was writing this and I'm like, and he walked over and I was like, look, your name's now Chambambulus Bambambulus. And I was like, that's a fucking dope name. I'm going to call this kobold Dax. He's fucking weird.
Merlin was like, right on. Yeah. That shit.
This is just becoming a Brad DM.
I love it. I wanted to. No.
Not yet.
Not yet. No. There's a
soon.
Not yet, but soon.
We have a lot of things.
Soon.
Yeah.
We can tease things. Me and Wack were teasing things on Monday. We have a lot of cool table story things happening over the next month of time. Or within the next month would probably be a better way to word it.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be all sorts of extra things. It's like we're gonna do some more extra things, like DM stuff, which should be useful. Like this, almost, kind of. This is like Brad's weird way of approaching DMing, though, and I don't know if I do it the same. It's not really advice when I say it, I don't think. It's just like, this is what I do because it works for me. And like, if you're
I think that's pretty much what people are looking for, right? They're literally like, they've watched Dustvale or any of the other campaigns, and they're like, I want to know what works for you.
Steal it from Final Fantasy.
There you go.
I have a question. I have a question for y'all. What was in I guess people in the chat can answer as well. What has been your most memorable moment from Dustvale so far?
So far,
losing the sticky piss blanket because Carlias wouldn't go back in. But it was the greatest moment because of the dwarven stubbornness check that prevented Carlias from dying. That was actually what I wanted to ask about. I wanted to know how pissed Brad was when that happened.
Oh my god.
I get kind of I don't really get too pissed. I just kind of I feel like I'm always like backpedaling on this campaign. Like it really feels like a you versus me in this one because you have Fairlight and he's just an encyclopedia and he knows more than I do about D&D and it's just terrifying to have that. Like the only advantage that a DM has against a group is preparation, I think. Because if you have a vampire, like the vampire that fucking took the piss blanket from you, he's supposed to be like ancient and far more intelligent than you guys, right? Like you have the stats and things, and he's old and clever, but I'm not. I'm just me. And also, like generally speaking, we're all just human beings, roughly around the same age compared to a vampire. And it's like 5 of you and 1 of me. So I'm supposed to be thinking about like how a vampire is. I need to react like a thing that I am not as a human being. So our only way to deal with that as DMs is to prepare, and that's our boon against multiple players. The problem is with Fairlight is that that scale goes out the window, and now you just have this player which is broken. Player, not character, a player which is broken. Because Fairlight is some sort of deity, godlike being in real life. His only weakness is sleep.
I've DM'd for him. It's a torrential like wave of rules that you never knew existed. It's insane.
And I don't mind it at all. I'm not annoyed by it or anything. That's how he plays, and I'm perfectly okay with however anyone wants to play as long as they're not being a dick. But it's quite hard. And so, like, I don't get annoyed with you guys when you do things like that, or when you just kill my fucking hardcore creatures or whatever. I'm very used to it by now. It just leaves me pinwheeling as a DM because I'm like, fuck, I don't know how to deal with this now. because I've got nothing prepared. Because I just thought this was going to go one way. I've got like a few contingencies, and then I've got a few more contingencies in my head. But you've done contingency X, and I'm like, it was the one I wasn't expecting. Oh shit! What do I do? What do I do? But that just comes down to improvising, I think, as a DM, or having a lot prepared. But kind of, again, that's a DM thing, isn't it? I've gone back into Brad DM mode. DM questions there.
That was my fault. I still threw a question.
That's fine.
Piss blanket. Jay's answer.
Dude, piss blanket was amazing. No, it was truly the best moment was watching Brad and Connor have that standoff for like a minute. That was fucking hilarious. And it's really funny how Carlias always gets shit on. Like the fighting pits and the vampire and the deaths in the Underdark.
Carlias has made some questionable decisions during this campaign, and I like it because, you know, a lot of people will kind of just play to what the group wants outside of character in like a meta-y way. But I feel like Carlias hasn't really done that. Carlias has been, you know, like, it's no fun to have one person who's like always pulling one way and the group needs to go the other. It's just annoying. But like Carlias will be like, I don't want to go to the fighting pit. And everyone's like, no, we're going to go to the... And he's like, all right, fine, you can all die. He just like leaves and shit. And like,
that actually really surprised me.
The couple of
that
times
was the one thing I have gotten so much shit for. And I want to fucking put the record straight, okay? Carlias said, you will go in, you will die. I will go in for one round and then I'm out. He stuck to his word. You cannot say Carlias is a craven dwarf because he stuck to his word. He said he would go in for one round and then was out.
All right, if you say so. Just gonna like Fairlight's not here. Someone needs to represent.
And then, and then
listen, I don't give a shit.
This is the thing, though.
I'm more than happy as a DM for you lot to just fucking destroy yourselves, and then I can be like, oh, by the way, there's an ancient green dragon, so suck it. Like I'm chill with you lot.
But it was a big lesson for the group because you learned that greed will get you killed.
No,
greed will get you killed.
No, we fucking did. Like
we did not. You didn't learn it.
No.
Well, the group may not have learned that, but at least Carlias can say, I told you so.
To be fair, different character.
I mean, like, I like the greed will get you killed thing because I've killed another main character in another campaign and a beloved character to the players and the people watching. And they died partially due to RNG and partially due to greed and partially due to just terrible teamwork. And I think those like themes have reoccurred in this one a lot as well. Because I will tempt you motherfuckers with greed. We just did it with the Raging Rex. And I'm like, there's a gem shining at the top. There's all this text which says fucking warning, this read comes back to life in 10 minutes. Don't go in, this is magical. This thing's crazy. You know, it's all this warning text, but it's in Gnomish and no one can read it. That's not my fault. It was made by a gnome and you guys don't read Gnomish and you don't have the tools to read any language or whatever, and yet you still fucking climb up in the thing, and on top of all of that, Lash has Mage Hand.
But I didn't think it was strong enough to lift.
To be fair, that was I feel like that was like a high five moment between Tuesday and I because we fucked that up and then still got out alive.
And I feel like I was mentioning a lot as well, like
okay, to be
like
fair
this
though.
Thing is like Chambambulus was like, I'm out of here because this thing's gonna turn back on in 10 minutes, guys. And you're like,
yeah, but to be fair, it was totally our hubris, but we were like, we broke the whole fucking thing. Like nowhere in there did we read it'll come back in 10 minutes as this will auto self-heal no matter how much of it you fucking destroy.
Yeah.
Like you said that like you were describing like the legs are just being crunched up and turned into like sheet metal.
Yeah, no, you fucked it up. It was destroyed. It can
really
heal
cool.
by magic. That's the problem is that you have this element of magic, which is the DM's best friend sometimes. Just the boon of Deus Ex. The Simpsons joke with the Xena conference, and they're just like, the episode 73 of Xena, you had it, and they just go, the wizard did it. Wizard did it. Wizard did it. Wizard did it. It's the answer to everything as a DM as well. Just magic. Just whatever. Always do high fantasy, guys. There's my other DM tip.
So easy. Yeah, right.
Because you will get away with so much more by being like, yeah, this is a magical gem.
Yep.
You're like, oh, really?
Magic.
Yeah, now you're being burned alive.
You know what? It's funny. I actually want to say, like, as much magic as there has been in the campaign, I feel like it's actually been a kind of like magic light-ish campaign, and you've done it really well. Like, it doesn't
Well,
especially with magical items and such, it feels like they're incredibly rare. So
I'm
also
a
we've
huge
not bought
fucking fan of magical items because I'm running a JRPG. That's what this is. And you get stuff. That's what you do in chat. It's just constantly new sword, new armor, new materia, new whatever. And it kills me not to just hand shit out every time, which is why I had a lot of fun in Thin June, just going, here's loads of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Just have this. I don't care. Just fucking take all this shit. Just have
Christmas
to,
and Thin Dune.
yeah, like the Christmas kind of
Christmas and
episodes.
Thin Dune.
But also to touch on the other point of it being like a little bit less magic-y, it's because I lent a little more on technology for the first time ever, and I was terrified of it when I was preparing this, like putting trains in and technology. Like this is about as close to like a modern era. What? What have you done?
Fairlight's typing in the Discord.
It's
Oh.
done. I can't.
It's okay.
You can't run it unless we go till
No,
God knows when in the morning.
I was just laughing.
The,
like I said, I think it's I think you've done it really, really well because it feels...
I've never done like technology, and I was like, oh, it just seems like such a weird thing to throw into a campaign. I did like trains and inventions, and there was some other things I added in. Guns. I was like, guns and trains and shit just seemed so scary to add in. But and a lot of people were giving me shit for it when I was preparing the campaign. I remember reading a couple of comments were like, no trains in my D&D, and I was like, oh shit, the elitists are going to be out for my blood. But then I was like, actually, elitists hate me anyway because I run like a weird, unorthodox D&D. So fuck it. And then I just thought every Final Fantasy has trains in and airships and shit, so I'm going to do it. And it worked out okay. The other way that I balanced it was that I had a very magical wizard creature be in charge of the train. What's he doing then?
Dude, the mage, that level 20 mage terrifies the shit out of me. He still fucking scares me.
Yeah, the different mages on the train.
They're the scariest NPCs in this game, hands down.
Yeah, I would never.
Like hands down.
Well, they're also extremely powerful because they're basically like the Oblivion guards, right?
One can control time. I was like, yeah, we're not messing with that.
Yeah, like don't fuck with him.
Well, they're like hardcore wizards. Like I think that I based them originally, like they're all different, but they're generally based on the Archmage in the Monster Manual, which is like a pretty fucking hardcore creature.
I'm messing with that.
And especially like your interactions with them when you were a lot lower level than you are now. You guys are pretty strong now. And you can deal with quite easily a single you can deal with ninjas, but they're like a homebrew thing that I created. But the Archmage's challenge rating 12, and I think you guys you're supposed to be able to deal with like a CR 13 at your level, but you guys can easily, I think, deal with the 15. If I gave you a single CR 15 creature, I reckon you guys could fight it and it would probably be a vague challenge. Which
Also depends.
You're very broken.
Depends on numbers too. I always feel like I would always rather fight one Trask than 50 goblins because I'm terrified of that 50 goblins.
Dude.
10 of those are gonna crit.
You haven't been tested by that many things that are like multiples of stuff in this campaign, which is kind of my fault. But I'm also more of a fan of like singular things, partially because I'm just too dumb and spinning too many plates in combat.
It's easier, yeah.
Confuses me and I get lost and I often forget things, and remembering things like statuses and who did what on last turn and what this creature's happening. Like I get very lost, even with the help of Roll20 and stuff. And also, I just think like a lot of combats go on way too long when you have too many things. There was a Storm King's Thunder fight where you fought a bunch of barbarian dudes and they just had huge health pulls, and you were on like a bridge and you had you had a fucking frost giant NPC helping you, and it just
toes?
the toe one, where you were cutting off the toes of everything. And it just my god, you guys were rolling ones and shit, and it was just cutting off everyone's toes, and they were I'm rolling ones, and the fight they had so much HP, each of these things, that it went on forever, and I get a little bored, like, and I think it's boring to watch combats that are just hit miss hit miss hit miss hit miss. If there's not like charged combats with something very dangerous that's a more singular creature or an enemy or a villain, I think is a lot more interesting than 4,000 fucking barbarian health pool creatures.
72
Although
goblins.
the 72
No, 72 goblins was fucking amazing.
That was I was
so
so
much
happy
fun.
about
I
that.
loved it.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that like there's a time and place to manage those
Yeah.
things. And for me in Dustvale, I've found that like you fighting singular things is a lot better.
It's worked a lot better. It's more fun to play combat wise.
But it's much harder to
balance.
it's not a challenge for you to fight one thing anymore, you guys. There's a reason like creatures in the monster manual almost all have multi-attack, and it's because they need to balance against a party of multiple people. But the thing is, when you just even that like the vampire, you have one thing and all of you are focusing all these high level spells and huge attacks on this one creature, and it's just getting fucking destroyed, and it can't keep up. Once you hit like level 6 or 7, you have to have 4 things to counter the party with, as opposed to 1. So yeah, I don't know, it's a weird thing where I know it in my head. I'm like, they're just going to kill this instantly. But whatever. Like Raging Rex, I was like, this thing's got some fucking mad OE. It had some like mad AoE damage as well. And I was like, that's fun. That'll hurt them all.
For the most fights that we had, though, we didn't have Arden with us. So that's why we were getting...
Yeah, I mean, you've had
Arden
some rough
fucked shit
fights and
up.
some good fights. It's been quite hard to balance this campaign, which is fun for me because I like that side of it a little bit. Because it forces me to not be a safe DM. Because I will just be safe. I'll just play it safe. I'll be like, yeah, they can handle this. And I generally will have you fight things that I know you can handle. Whether you handle it well, whether you roll okay, or whether you just don't teamwork, or you don't utilize your own spells or whatever, that's your fault. But I know that I'm being fair, and that helps me a lot. The problem comes when like Arden doesn't fight, or like I'm not 100% sure, because I'm never 100% sure what your power level is, because you've been broken since the beginning. Just doing the 4d6d1 character roll breaks a party quite easily, and I also gave you a lot of extra things, like you each got a little cantrip or an extra thing you can do, or you've had a magical item from the beginning, and it just unbalances you a little bit with every episode until I'm like, I'm not sure what they can fight and what they can't. But that's fun for me as a DM, because I just go, I wonder if they can kill all these fucking demons. Let's find out.
Look, they died.
Yeah, and it's like, well, they died. And like I never used to do that. I used to be I'm very scared of killing players and killing parties. I'm terrified of it because I've gotten shit for it before. I've been killed, and I've been killed fairly and unfairly, and it's just always horrible, and it's scary, and you don't like it, and no one wants to really see it. It's dramatic. One of the best things for fucking Twitch to watch, when you're watching a party get fucking killed and people are crying and shit, it's the fucking best, man. I love it. I get it. I get watching it, but I hate being responsible for it.
Used to be me with Fractured Worlds.
Yeah.
I was wishing for a TBK every week.
Yeah, like but I remember I watched Matt Colville, that DM Matt Colville, say a thing where he was like, I don't balance anything. I just put them in front of something. It's up to them to get out of it. They have the tools and everything at their disposal to get out of any fight. You know, like if I just plonked a Tarask in front of you guys now, and you just decided to run at it and start swinging swords, it's your fault that you die. You know, you should do something else.
Yeah. What is grass?
It's like the most powerful thing in the monster manual. It's this huge dragon turtle looking thing.
It's immortal, right? It can't die without like a wish spell or something like that.
It's
unless
insane.
they changed it.
They're bigger than cities, essentially.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'll see if we can get you it, and you can look at it Tuesday. Tarask. It's this ridiculous thing. It's an insane creature. Here, I'll link you in our little thing. Just Google Tarask, people. Tarrasque.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful beast, and like the thing he was saying was that like basically he just he doesn't give a shit. It's not his fault. He's the DM. He's the world, and this thing has appeared in front of you, and it's up to you to work out how to get away from it. Whether that be that you fight it and use your combat abilities, or whether you dig a hole or run away or whatever. It's your fault. You deal with it. And I'm always so scared of that, but I really want to be more like that as a DM. Sorry, everybody who's ever to be DM'd by me. And having an unbalanced party forces me into that place, which is why quite a lot of the time I think you guys enter into a fight and you either just fucking destroy it or you suffer. It's very rare that it's kind of for a long time I don't think we've had a relatively back and forth balanced combat in this campaign, and I like that. I prefer that from two aspects. Just as a DM, I enjoy the combat to be like I'm not sure either kind of thing. I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to kill one. You know, or I wonder if they're just going to murder this. It'd be cool if they just did a triple backflip over a train and chopped its head off. But also, I think it's more interesting to watch because we avoid that middle ground, which is just 2 hours of combat with things that just have a HP pool and it's just going through the turn order and not really anything is at stake. So yeah, again, Brad DM, I'm just fucking motoring through.
That's a horrifying creature.
Yeah.
That's
I've never
a
used
lot
one.
of very big teeth.
Connor, what's your favorite moment?
I have a few. For
Get one
for different reasons though, because there are some that are RP based, and then there's some that are role based. Like some of the fights that we've had that have caused for funny outcomes. I mean, obviously, some people may mention the whole Carlias and Sin River getting drunk and then going to the Red Velvet, was it?
Let's have a look. Where was it?
Crown?
Sin River.
Velvet Crown, I think, right?
Velvet Crown.
Yeah.
In Sin River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the whole Miami Blossom thing stemmed from.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
all I
Here,
think.
I'll just I'll take you there.
Oh, hey there. Oh man, I miss this city.
Yeah,
This is really where all the shenanigans started. Like,
Yeah.
this is
I think
kind
this
of-
is where the
hit our
campaign.
stride.
This is where we took a
began.
nosedive, kind of. It was either like we went on a great path from here, or the path that we did.
Well, I
For
just
me,
feel
this
like
is
we
where the
showed our
campaign
true
began.
colors here.
Yeah.
You know.
It was our
You-
first chance to really show them.
But you also you're discovering your characters, right? Because you're role playing as these characters, and Sin River was quite early on, really, because you only went to Windy Peaks and back, and you were still kind of
Right.
discovering who you were.
Mm.
It was chapter 10. So like we're
think,
looking at like
yeah.
episode 10 of this, and you really started to work out. You knew who you were,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and you started to really work it out here, and you knew which things, because you don't know what your character will really do. You have your little traits on your character sheet that's like, I will defend my hometown, or I will avenge the fall of my village. But like that, it helps you to RP in the first few. You don't know who you are until you rob a store in episode 3, and then fight a god, and then end up in a casino town. Like, and then you work it out.
It's good that you mentioned that, because I remember at the start of the game, I remember Jay on our first episode, he DM'd me and was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "You look a bit peeved off," because I was in character.
Oh, yeah.
I was serious,
There
just
was,
focus kind of mode.
it was like 10 weeks you were so serious with us to stay in
Yeah,
character.
for those first few episodes, and as well when
But like that was your character, right? Because when we made Carlias and we were talking before the campaign began, he was like, "I'm gonna play a cool guy." Like you're like a cool guy gunslinger. Like that's what a classic gunslinger kind of thing,
Just
like a cool dude,
down the business and
grizzled lone wolf
Job to
almost. And yeah, and so you were playing that, and everyone was scared that you were just pissed off the whole time with everyone else. IRL.
I
think it was
actually
the-
liked it. I knew he was playing just a serious dude, and I thought it worked.
I remember as well for the first episode, I didn't talk until like the card game.
Well, that was why.
All you heard
Yeah.
was just the grunts
Yeah.
and such. But,
Yeah,
as,
but we were coming fresh off of Gamil from Storm King's Thunder as well.
Oh yeah.
Camille
that's
was very comedy and but
lighthearted dwarf.
lighthearted. Yeah.
Or-
Especially by the end, like we were coming off of the end of a campaign where you two had a very strong relationship in
would-
character.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
one where you had new characters, because you two were in the previous campaign, and one of them was like a grizzled, quiet type,
Yeah.
and the other one was Kenneth.
I was
well, yeah,
I was
that was
gonna
kind
say
of-
that moment in the tower of Kenneth and Carlias was I saw someone asked earlier what was the most shocking moment, and I remember going back and seeing Tuesday and Tenchi's reactions. They were just like gobsmacked
Yeah.
because
For
we
sure.
kept that a secret until it obviously happened.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
funny and weird too, though. Was going from like being best friends in Storm King's Thunder to not. There was like a couple episodes where I wanted to like say something like we would have in Storm King's Thunder, and then like, oh yeah, no, wrong campaign. Never mind. Fuck. my bad. Never mind.
Yeah, like the moment. There's two standout moments with Kenneth, and it was obviously the Carlias,
Yeah.
Carlias Kenneth Tower moment, and the infamous Kenneth brutally murders
that
an innocent
was-
woman
That was
and disposes of the body on a train.
straight up why I retired that character. Like that was the reason. Oh, because I forgot that like NPCs have like 4 HP, right? Just regular peasants have 4 HP.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was at least 20, right? I was like, oh, I'll just do a couple. It'll wake
She
her
was
up.
just a little. She was just a little old woman. Like she can't handle a fucking magic spell.
I was also
that's
thinking
designed
really
to kill
literally.
creatures.
Like very literally.
That
Like
was
first
so
spellcaster,
hilarious.
extremely literally. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That was great,
just
though, like-
because-
That was
For the meme
yeah.
alone, it was
For the
fucking
meme
worth.
alone, it was great. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jesse said Raja was originally going to be a cool guy.
Let's bring him in. There he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'll have to remove that thing, I guess.
get out of here, god of soy.
The god of soy.
Oh god, it's me, the god of soy, on the... There we go. Okay, we're good.
Are you
It
there,
was-
Jesse?
Oh, yeah, what's up? How's it
Hello.
going?
Because I'm alive.
Hello, Sleeping
He's
Beauty.
alive.
Yeah, just barely. I set
Man.
3 different alarms because I was like, I'm probably gonna sleep through this one. I just crashed right through all of them. My body was like, nah, you've misbehaved too much. Screw you.
This is the last time.
No.
I
No.
said it. I said at the
Wait.
beginning. I can't run the show without you. This 1 week, of all the weeks for you to miss, this was the
You did-
only one that you can't,
Now we know who
Uh,
to blame.
because you've all been reduced to sand. So I can't just run some bullshit
Yeah.
for a week.
With grains of sand. Probably not.
Like that?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, like that.
I'll be honest, I forgot that it was Wednesday until like I was playing God of War on stream last night, and I went to like 7 a.m. and then I stopped, and then I kind of looked at the clock, and I was like, oh wait,
Oh no.
Oh.
I'm supposed to stop about 5 hours ago because it's Tuesday, but yeah.
Yeah. It's all right. We're just chatting some shit.
This
Oh,
has
yeah,
been
Connor
pretty
asked
fun.
about our favorite moments.
We're just
been-
talking about our
been really
favorite
cool.
moments. So since you're here, do you have a particular favorite moment so far?
Oh
in the
man.
campaign?
Let's see.
I feel like for me, one of my favorite Raja moments was when he just did that acrobatics check and jumped over a train. Like right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well,
That started a meme.
Because I think I like it set the tone
Yeah.
for this character.
Yeah.
Like if he wants to jump over a fucking train, he will.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's nothing that we can do about it. DM, dice, nothing will stop it. It will happen. He will jump over the train.
You are.
Uh,
You know what's funny is the same
the
shit
jump
happened
the
in
shark
Ascendance.
moment.
He did
Yeah?
the same shit. He was like, "Yeah, I want to run up a wall, jump 30 feet over, and then jump on this guy." And I was like, "Yeah, but why wouldn't you be able to? Of course you can."
I mean,
You know
no.
better
If we're
than I.
talking favorite from Ascendance, it was running up the. I don't know if Brad ever saw this one. In the other campaign, I had a character who I feel like Raja was.
when Gotho ran up the fucking tower or whatever.
No, he ran up the club that had just been swung at him. Like this troll took a
Oh.
swing at him with a giant club and missed. So the club like embedded itself in the wall, or at least Jay flavored it as like, yeah, he swings and misses and it smashes into the wall next to you. Your turn. And I was like, okay, well, while it's still on the wall, I want to run up the club and,
Unstoppable.
and jump up onto its shoulders.
You can't let him
And
not
then-
do something.
and then and I did. Or at least, it was pretty funny. But for I don't know, for Raja, the funny thing was, like, first off, I mentioned in chat that he was originally going to be like kind of a Mr. Cool Guy, edgy, hardly ever says anything, like extremely withdrawn, kind of a distant and mysterious character. But then, like, by the second episode, I was like, this isn't going to work with Carlias here. We can't both be sitting there trying to out edgy each other and like not say anything. So that was when I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to make him be kind of a goofball and screw around and mess with the others. Like, he's going to start like scaring Lash and that was why I had him like try to break into the casino and stuff like that. I'm just gonna make him do dumb stuff and like have him like maybe not put as much thought into what he's doing and just kind of be kind of a goofball to improve the party dynamic.
Yeah,
I think as well that kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that all of us, minus a handful, haven't RP'd together. So for those first few sessions, it was like getting used to what is each other's limits and how do people RP, and like
working out like how to set, because you want your group to be fun and you want there to be group synergy, and sometimes it comes in like working out what the character is, like who is going to do one thing and who is going to do the other. Like, for example, Raja and Carlias at the beginning were both kind of the cool silent type. You only need one of those per party. So it kind of like it naturally found its way to where both of you have your own individual personalities now. But at the beginning, you were very similar characters if you ignore like the specifics in a general just, typecasting thing. You're both kind of like the loner, cool guy, silent, strong type. You don't need loads of those.
I feel like even having one person in a group, well, if it's like a 4-person group, then even having one person that is like, yeah, I'm too cool to talk to anybody, is like, it's already pushing it. Just having one of those if it's a smaller group. We have 5, so I feel like it works really well because there's enough to fill the silence, even if Carlias isn't saying much. Although he's been more talkative in the past like 15 episodes, but like at the beginning of the campaign when he was hardly saying a word, it's like, yeah, well, what if this was a 3-person campaign? That's not going to work, right? You can't have one person who says nothing while the other people do all the talking.
I've had that in a 3-person campaign where me, Peachy, and Elf played in a campaign, Wolfsco Raw, and she played a mute. Like she wasn't a mute, but she was like she chose not to speak, and so she was very expressive. And it was a great idea when we were coming up with it. And then in practice, it just meant that me and Peachy, who for the record were absolutely comedy support characters in this campaign and not worth anything, had to say everything, and it was really weird and difficult. And eventually, she had to start kind of saying more.
Even like a mute character could sort of work if she was like, I guess, like, what am I trying to say here? I guess could probably still work if you were still like really involved in conversation, just not verbally. Like if you were constantly
she sort
like
of was
gesturing or doing things or like writing on stuff in the background.
Well, that was the plan, and it sounds like it would work, but it kind of doesn't in practice. Like and I sort of feel like if Elf can't pull it off, no one can. 'Cause she's an extremely good RPer.
She's amazing. Yeah.
She like LARPs and stuff. She's really like, she knows what's up, and it just wasn't working. It was really weird, and it's a strange thing to like think. Like the character was really cool and really interesting, but like the actual like execution was just so difficult. And I think a lot of that as well just is the fact that we're on like a fucking Zoom call. We're on a Skype call basically, and so there's a thing to be said. When you're in a room with a bunch of people, it's a lot easier to be more expressive and just do all this, and you can be like moving and using body language. There's a dissonance just purely because we're across the internet where we can't rely as much on that, I think, and so you have to find other ways to do that. And so you find probably that you have to describe more things online. Maybe I haven't actually ever played in real life, so I have no idea what I'm talking about, but
yeah, I've actually not done it in person either.
I've done it quite a bit. IRL things just kind of click, like the tone, and you can also like, if there's the environment around, you can actually use it, right? Music on a tablet or whatever have you. You can whisper to players in person if you're the DM. You can actually, like touch them if need be. It's a lot more involved. The disconnect on the screen is a lot.
So you have to make up for that. Like, it's a whole thing that I want to go into another day about running a thing online. I feel like I'm really good at running a show online, but I would be fucking terrible in real life. Like, it's a whole other ball game. And me and Tuesday were talking about it just before the stream about how so much of my bullshit is just smoke and mirrors, like music and shit. I put a lot of effort into music and nice maps and overlays and things. I really feel like all that stuff is just covering up the dissonance over calls and things. Like, it really helps to have a mood setter when you play some fucking music. Like last week when I did the thing where I had this fucking song play right here. I'll just fucking throw it on.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I had this song suddenly play. I threw some weather in, which I normally don't do.
Yeah.
I also had a sandstorm, but I'm purposely making this really loud. And then like a huge thing happened where it gets worse, right? And so I'm just going to abruptly stop this. That all ends. But that for me is so important online. Partially also because I'm a production kid, I can't help it, and I just know people are watching, and I want it to be immersive for them as well, and like a TV show, because I just can't stop myself. But also, I think it fills that hole that's kind of missing, in that we are on a call, and I think that's important. Maybe, I don't know. That's a DM thing. I'm doing a DM rant again. Tenchi, what was your favorite moment? It's so easy in these Q&A things. I mean, Jay did a call with Loco before, and we were talking about fucking D&D, and she wanted to just talk to us about normal streaming, and we just went into a D&D Q&A for hours.
It was how do you stream D&D, and we talked about our best times playing D&D.
Yeah, it happens. Go on then, Tench. got one?
Every single moment Arden talks or does anything, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But...
I don't know. Chaos King had a good thing, and I was when we went underground and when the stress was hitting and Arden was having a lot of anxiety. As someone that, as far as I know, doesn't deal with anxiety and stuff like that, and so many people do, I was a little hesitant about that, but I wanted to try something new because, as I was saying in chat, like I always think it's funny when like gamers especially, we're always like, yeah, when the zombie apocalypse hits, I know what to do. I got 2 airsoft guns and a can of Spam. I'm going to survive forever. And you're like, all right, bro, good luck with that. You're going to walk outside, trip, break an ankle, and die. Like I would die so quick. It's horrible. I don't want to go camping. And so I think like if I was put in this situation, and even if like I wasn't really close to a lot of these characters, we had like 2-3 characters, and I would say Raja is seen by Arden as like the leader, the main, the cornerstone of the group. And then he dead too. And we have like shit is just falling down around him. And I was like, yeah. Arden needs to freak the fuck out. And then he had that weird kind of, he didn't want to let go, and that's what the whole rezzing Raja was. It wasn't just a whim of mine as usual. And that was really interesting. And then the fact that, I guess to top that off, is then to have the fan art drawn, like a for sale fan art.
God, dude, that was amazing.
Oh God, I had an emotional response to that. I don't know if we have the picture still.
I'll pull it up.
I think it's saved on mine somewhere. But literally, I thought that those pictures captured exactly what was going on. It wasn't.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Arden was dealing with some heavy things, and I'm glad that people weren't offended by it.
It was nice to see Arden suddenly get just some depth out of nowhere, because you, like me, I think I always play the comedy support character in like every campaign. I can't help it. I'm not saying you do that in every campaign, but in this one,
it's fun.
That was where you were settling, and then you had this moment where you actually went through some like actual character building mental health shit, and since then you've been like even more kind of skittish and crazy, which is kind of nice, I definitely feel like I honed in on that as a DM, because that's why I had the woman last week, Mother Numera. She was saying that like you need to get it together. Die without you, and it's because he's fucking crazy, and he's losing his way, and he has to stay on focus and stay on track.
He's slowly been
he's more important than he knows. But yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah,
she was a genie, by the way. Like, it's irrelevant now. Normally don't do these sorts of reveals, but everyone thought she was a witch. She was actually a genie.
Oh, didn't he say something about that? The witches
Yeah.
and everything? Okay, so that's what that meant. All right.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. He told us to go look for a genie, but not that he fucked one.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
so...
well, like, because the other thing is that, like, everyone was talking about getting a wish or whatever, and everyone was like, "No, there's no such thing as wishes or whatever," and everyone was super defensive because they knew there was a genie, and yeah, like wishes don't exist, and yeah, they kind of don't. Do they?
That was a funny moment.
They maybe do. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I hate wish as a DM. I hate wishes anyway. They're too powerful, and it's like I'm a little too strict with my own personal narrative that I don't want wishes to come in and fuck with it too much.
Put it
like I don't give a fuck how powerful you get as players versus things that you're fighting and things, but like I have a story that I like to tell. I don't want it to be the main focus of everything. I still want it to be the journey of the players, but wishes will fuck up a fucking narrative instantly. Just bam, just broken. Just like, oh yeah, I wish for the fucking world to be different. Oh great, now I've got to go and fucking change the whole world that I made maps for. I can't. There's too much to lose. Lash, what was your favorite moment?
Too many to really narrow down, but I will talk about the first time where I realized that I really felt like I was Lash, and I really felt like we were in the world. And I think it was Windy Peaks where the vampire was coming after us, and we went into a small abandoned house, and we're like, well, we should be safe here. We're kind of going to use this as a base and just regroup and maybe wait out the night. And we were in there, and we were discussing our plans, and then Brad was like, Lash, like in my ears. This just, and I just froze. Like in real life, I just kind of froze and was freaking out a little bit. And I realized I was so in it. And how you have those moments in MMOs where each member of the group knows their role, and it's the cadence is there. Like, all right, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and you're kind of feeling that group dynamic. And I was just starting to really feel that, and obviously really feel like I was in my shoes. And when that moment happened, I was just like, oh my God, the fact that I'm really terrified right now, like this is super fun. And now I'm really scared of that vampire.
That was fucking hilarious. That moment, because you went like,
yeah, you were super scared.
Brad, you did the as well. Yeah, that was terrifying.
The atmosphere was so well created for that. I feel like that whole scene was so well described, and they have been subsequently as well, but I just wasn't prepared for that immersion.
Yeah, and then you're in it, and there's a thing that knows your name and
stuff.
Yeah,
like, that it got real.
That vampire was the first. That was the first kind of super over arc thing that I really threw at you for a long time. Like, apart from the opening episode where I had the ninja show up and the fucking Titan and the orb, and that was just like establishing shit. I didn't really do anything else that hit anything on the like the Solomon, the vampires stuff for a long time until that vampire showed up. And he was actually posing as Sagan Shara in the town, his whole thing was to draw Raja out, because he knew that vampire was he was crazy, and he was off the books. He was working with the other ones that you've met, and he wasn't supposed to come after you, but he kind of thought he could easily toy with you. And so his thing was that he went after Raja, and he was, I'll pull this guy. He thinks he's like an undead killer, and he had all this information on Raja, so he just went and posed as somebody that Raja knew. So Raja was like walking around town, and like Fairlight's messaging me like he knew all this stuff about this person, and like Fairlight's got this. It was a huge red herring, which has probably confused Fairlight for a long time, because he was posing as this person and talking to people in town, and just making sure that Raja would be lured away from town. But it didn't work. It's weird. It's one of those things where I set up as a DM and I planned this thing. And it
was I supposed to know this by now? Because this is news to me that it was. Well,
again, and that's the thing. Like, you still don't know it, and it won't matter too much at this point, which is why I'm kind of not too bothered. Otherwise, I would never reveal these things. But the it's an interesting thing where I planned it as a DM, and it didn't go to plan. And the same thing, basically, it's what happened for him in character. Like when something doesn't go to plan for me as a DM, essentially I treat it like this. It's not gone to plan for this vampire as well. And so his plan didn't work. He didn't lure you away from town. I can't remember exactly how it went, but you were intrigued, but you took it in a different way. You were like, oh yeah, I'm not going to just like follow these clues immediately. You sort of wrote it down, Fairlight or Raja did, as like Raja will remember that, as opposed to actively investigating in the moment. And so I can't remember the specifics, but I remember thinking, oh, he didn't follow every clue. And I don't think you unlocked everything that I had in Windy Peaks set up for that as well, so you didn't have everything.
No, I remember exactly what happened. You gave me like this statement from a character in town that, you know, oh yeah, we saw, you know, that character, which I feel like the rest of the group hasn't heard enough of his backstory for the name to matter. But like for him, obviously that character is important. And you said something like, yeah, he was last seen heading north to like Dreadtusk or something. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that's on the other end of the continent, so I'm not going to go running after him this second. I think
there was a thing that was going to happen, and I can't remember why it didn't happen or what caused it to not happen. But it was more just that like it was going to be a thing revealed that he was like still there, just outside of town. And I don't think you went into that trap. Like I planted the seed, but never activated the trap to get you to physically go outside of town, because he needed you out of town and he was going to get you there. That was his whole plan. It just didn't happen. But it kind of didn't matter for your whole thing anyway with Sagan Shara. And again, this is all just stuff that's irrelevant, and people don't worry about it. It'll all be revealed if Fairlight wakes up next few weeks. But the way it worked out, it didn't work specifically how he wanted. So this vampire just went rogue and just went into town and just started fucking with you. It was like, fuck it, I'll just fuck him up. You know, what are they going to do? And you just destroyed him. Like, again, this is one of the first times where you guys just were like, oh, we're going to fight this thing. And it was just a bloodied mess by the end of it. And you guys were fine. Like, you were just picking shit up like the blood and be like, yeah, we'll just make bullets out of his blood. Like, I was like, dude, this just fucking killed a fucking vampire.
There was quite a debate, though, as to whether we were even going to engage that.
Wasn't that because Arden walked in and fucking scary. Popped his head, though? Like,
I mean, we'd already...
That was a guiding bolt, yeah.
We had already fought him, though, for like 6 rounds of combat, and we were chunking him pretty hard. Arden basically walked in and scored the last hit, but I feel like we were doing pretty well up till then anyway. The biggest thing was...
against undead.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is the protection from evil is such a ridiculously strong spell versus the undead that even like a higher leveled undead, it's like it helped that as a plot device, the thing hated Raja, right? Yeah. So I was like, okay, it's probably going to attack me every turn. So I'm going to put protection from evil on myself and stand right next to it and then watch it miss as it repeatedly tries to hit me over and over and over again. And it just probably can't because the spell is too strong.
And again, we touched on this earlier on. I don't know if you were watching or not, but just how broken you are as a player, not a character, Raja, but you felt like Excalibur just as a human being, just broken. And I didn't really know that as a DM. I was used to dealing with like Tiger Writer, love him, but he's just like, I do hold person on the Tarrasque. And like, I'm like, ha ha ha, you fool, you've played straight into my plans. And I don't think I was prepared for like the epic levels of power that this group essentially have, spearheaded by Raja, who at the time I don't think really was the leader then, but I think he's definitely become the group's leader by now.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost definitely. So I was still kind of just assuming, just as a DM. I didn't really know how good you guys were as a group fully or anything. I didn't know you as well as I do now. And I just threw a fucking vampire at you, like, haha, this should be easy to control them or fuck with them and shit. And you guys were just like, no, pin it down and blow its head up with a guiding bolt. Like, I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. And I was like, all right. It was definitely one of the first times that I started to just let go as a DM and be like, all right, well, they will fucking, if they would kill the thing, they kill it. Like, and it's just like, I was like, I don't mind throwing the fucking dragon at them and shit.
For me, I really enjoy I really enjoy roleplay aspect and like getting into character. but I'm also an obsessively competitive person in every game that I play, and I feel like D&D is no different, except that it's like I'm not competing against my party, and I'm not even competing against the DM. It's more like I'm competing against the system itself to see like how many ways I can twist it and how broken can I make a character if I play it properly, which is and like Ascendance was honestly my first like proper campaign.
Oh my god.
So when I put together Gotho,
oh boy.
Like imagine, Jay, Gotho was me attempting to make a broken character when I wasn't really good at it yet. And then Raja is the result of me having a little bit of a better understanding of the game, and I feel like if I get attempt number 3, I'm gonna make something
Thanks,
really
Jay.
gross.
Listen, man, he played like a fucking sumo wrestler monk. All right, it was a ground
This is why
pound.
this is why Fairlight needs
It's always
to play in
agile
Wax.
things.
Fairlight needs to play in Wax campaign next.
Yes.
It's like he's leveling up, going from Jay to me, and then he goes to Wax for the full like experience. Because I'm a pretty shit DM for I think someone who's trying to min max, and I apologize for that, Fairlight, because I'm so terrible at.
That's true.
I'm so terrible at just knowing the rules perfectly, because it's just not how I do. I've always said I run like a 5e light, and I respect the rules, and you can absolutely rules lawyer me all the way. And I don't give a fuck how you want to play the game either. One of the first videos I ever watched, to reference him again, was Matt Colville, and he says types of players that there are that will appear at your table, and these are the types of players, and just they should all be allowed to tell their story and play how they want to play. And I watched this thing, and he just described all these different people. There's the like fucking comedy guy. There's the guy that wants the spotlight. There's the guy that min-maxes. And he goes through it. He just says these are all people, and they want to play their game how they want to play it, and you should try and facilitate that. And I think I do, to the best of my ability. Like, I just want you to play whatever you want to play. I don't give a fuck. Like,
so which one of those characters am I though? That's the thing.
Yeah, well, you're like
that's the thing. Like, I do enjoy a little bit of min-maxing, but that usually kind of stops at character creation, and after that, it's just I want to be in character and have fun with it.
Well,
but I also
the
I feel like
min-maxing in combat is where you get to min-max like fully, it's not like you don't RP well or anything either. I would love to watch a campaign where it's just you and like some other fully min-maxed people really grinding the rules, you know, and just fucking like you and a DM. Yeah, like you and a DM and just all people who really want to min-max some shit and see what this fucking thing is capable of from the fucking letters in the book, and go at it and just made some fucking hardcore things and see how it goes. I just know that I'm just not the DM to fucking facilitate it, because I'm just too shit and too dumb.
I do feel like a lot of being effective isn't necessarily making a min-maxed and broken character. It is, like you said, it happens in combat with decision making and understanding the rules. I'm gonna throw out there that we would have all died in the Sin River fighting pit if I hadn't basically taken over and like done all of Tuesday's moves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was actually
because
going to interrupt and say another favorite part of mine about this campaign is that I was so new to D&D. If Fairlight hadn't taken charge with because it would be awkward for the DM to do it, but thank God there was another player who was willing to be like, look, you're new, kid. This is how this shit works. And know that I wasn't going to take offense to it and be confident enough, this is how a rogue works. Without that, this will lead into your story, Fairlight. It would have been a lot more challenging for me. And you guys tried to warn me. You're like, well, rogue's not a bad idea, but it might be challenging.
No, rogue was okay. And I think the only thing that is difficult with a rogue at first is just like getting your head around what is a sneak attack and how do I effectively use that and stuff like that. And it's also a little bit slip and slide with the rules, that one. The rogue, can I hide during combat? And we can look up shit and get specific and stuff, but I mean, I love seeing a fucking cool moment. Like, I'll let a fucking roll slip or a rule slip here and there just to fucking let you do some crazy fucking, I'm gonna jump off of Raj's back and do a triple backflip in the air, and he's gonna unleash a fucking Zephyr Strike, and then my arrow's gonna fly through it, and they'll combine into a Chrono Trigger X attack. I'm like, fucking roll that shit, because I want to see that shit too. You know, like I'm down for it. But also, I also just like to learn. So if I fucking say no, you can't fucking do that, or that doesn't happen, and then fucking any of you are just like, well, technically on page 97, this. I'm like, yeah, because if you then die, this is the other thing. is if they're like fucking rules lawyers me on something, and I go, no, fuck you, you don't get to do it, fuck off. It's my fucking story, my campaign, I'll do what I want. And then you guys will fucking TPK, you'll hate me. You will fucking hate me. And then you'll trace it back to that fucking Occam's razor moment, and you'll be like, well, if Raja was actually allowed to do the triple backflip like it says on page 97, then we would have all survived, and I won't be able to sleep. So I completely accept rules lawyering. And it also helps me learn as a DM, you know. I bet I read the book once, and the rest of it I just learned through fucking playing and being told the rule. I think that's the best way to go as well as a DM. DM kids out there.
Also, I never really answered your question earlier when you asked me for a favorite moment. I got kind of distracted and I never really got back around to it. But honestly, I feel like there's been so many to pick from. It's kind of hard to pinpoint it. But if I could narrow it down to probably two that stand out to me, and that would be the fight in the cave after Raja was resurrected, like going back to the cave, because Raja has like a really deep-seated hatred of the undead. It's not like he just does it as a job. This is like he's emotionally unbalanced, and so being able to like let him indulge that fully by getting revenge for his friends, avenging their deaths in the cave scene, was just like so much pent up rage, I guess, being unloaded. And then that fight just happened to go his way in the sense that, oh, we're fighting a banshee. Okay, he would know what a banshee does, so we could have the silence spell waiting for it, and then like nullify its advantages, and then just go ham on killing it. It's like, this is like from day one of character creation, like putting him together as a character concept. This is what he does. Yeah. He knows how they work and what they do, and he's going to come up with a plan to nullify the thing, and then he's just going to go ham and stab it to death and dump holy water on it. And it was like, yeah, this right here, this is what I made the character for. And it was good, really...
like to see the difference between the fight where everyone went in and just got trashed, and you needed that vengeance, and then being like, okay, now we see what happens when you truly plan for a fight and are prepared for it, and you have somebody who knows how to deal with these undead things. Because that was one of the issues the first time, is you didn't have your undead killer. You're extremely powerful against undead with a cleric and an undead killing ranger, and you didn't have either of them, and went into just the worst scenario possible.
Yeah, the tank kind of died immediately too. Like I went down.
It was emotionally a nightmare as well, but yeah, it was.
But it was horrendous. Like the whole thing was supercharged, and it was a great moment. Both of those fights were great. But it was so good to you waltzed in that second fight and just shit all over him, and it was just fucking great. Like even for me, it was cathartic. That was just to watch you guys waltz in and be like, yeah, just fucking silent, kill that one, kill that one, kill that one, kill that one. Fuck you. Done. Peace out.
And it was great because it was like, not only was this pretty much what the character was designed to do from day one, but it was also the fact that it kind of like, from getting good rolls and such, went according to plan as well. Like we landed a bunch of crits. We got to do the Chrono Trigger-esque like dual tech thing for the first time, where Raja catches Walter's fireball and uses it. And stuff like that. And then that one...
I didn't like that.
That one... I'm sorry.
There was someone in the chat asked if anyone has insta-killed anything, and I was like, I'm the only one that's done it. It was Arden.
You didn't even have to hit Arden either. You could have thrown the fireball to miss him, but you're like, no, I want to hit all the enemies, not just not just 4 out of 5. I want to get all 5, even if I have to kill Arden. But yeah, no, it was that whole fight, and then also that one specific swing where I was like, I had holy water going, I had Zephyr Strike going, I had the flaming oil going, and I had the catching the fireball going. So it was like 5 different buffs all going into that one swing, and I even said I'm gonna hit this thing harder than it's ever been hit before, and then chopped the demon for like 40 something damage in one swing. And then the other favorite moment, I would say, aside from that fight, would be the entirety of the time that I got to play as Vasilius, like just all of his episodes, because there's just something I don't know, kind of freeing and kind of relaxing about just warning everyone, hey, I'm playing a dick who's only motivated by money. You know, I'm just playing a selfish character whose only motivation is money. So it's like, oh, well, if I were Raja, oh, I need to run in there and save them. But it's like, wait, no, actually, I don't really care what happens to them. And I felt like actually, even in that same cave, the first time we went in there and wiped, when like the first time around it was Vasilius, when I was getting ready to make the decision to just have him run, I was like, do we try to fight it? Do we try to run? Do we try to save each other? Maybe if we do like a slow retreat and like strategically work our way outside, maybe we could do it. But then as I sat there thinking about it, I realized, I was like, no, there's no way I could justify all that. He's going to run. He's going to turn invisible and leave them there and run. And then I thought, they're going to, I don't know, they're probably going to be pissed at me. In fact, some characters are probably going to die here. But Vasilius isn't going to be one of them. He's not. He's going to turn invisible and peace out. And it was like, on the one hand, I hated the fact that it was kind of shafting the rest of the party. But I honestly feel like we would have all died if we stayed and fought that anyway, because Vasilius was not really made as a frontal combat character anyway.
No, you were losing that fight. Like, I could tell as well. Like, sometimes you can't tell as a DM, and sometimes you can tell. And I could tell in that one, I was like, I'm killing some people. I'm killing some people today, and I don't like that feeling.
Yeah.
I started to get cold feeling in my stomach. I'm like, oh man, some people are gonna drop.
I actually
the Vasilius was made as more of a face character. He was designed to, you know, manipulate people in town and win all of his persuasion rolls, and in general carry outside combat by being able to do everything that isn't like. I figured the rest of the party can kill things. I designed Vasilius to do everything else. So I was like, he'll win all of his persuasion checks. He'll win, like he can get into areas. He's good at lock picking. He can be the backup rogue if he needs to. Like, I designed him for all that. So when it was in a direct combat scenario, I was like, this is kind of his weak spot, is he doesn't do a ton of damage. If it were like a single human target, he has whole person. But other than that, like, what's he gonna do? So once the fight started, it was just kind of a, well, I guess this is the ultimate culmination of everything that I put into this character, is he will run away and leave them there to die. So I was like, on the one hand, it kind of brings me a small amount of satisfaction to be able to watch him do that. But on the other hand, I know it's going to screw the rest of the party, you know? So that to me was kind of a favorite moment, just because of the decision making that had to go into it, and eventually deciding, yeah, I guess I'm going to leave them all to die. Although I will say, I did have him like break character to go back and save Lash. And that and that was kind of because I didn't realize at first when I casted invisibility, like, he was my first time playing a spellcaster. I didn't realize that at higher levels, you could turn more than one person invisible. And we had just hit level 5 before going into that cave. So he had just gained the ability to do that, and I forgot.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, if I had remembered at first, oh yeah, he can do multiple invises, then he would have like turned one other person invisible and ran out. But instead it played out as more of a, he ran out and then he kind of turned back. And then I was like, he wouldn't go back in. He would absolutely not go back in. But I'm going to break character because I messed up and forgot. So then I had to run back in and do that.
It was a good character builder, I think, for just the team as a whole. Like, because also I think it was like having a death. Like you'd had a death before, but we kind of knew it was coming as well. This was a natural death. Like Kenneth's death, we knew. Because it was a retired character as opposed to a natural occurring death kind of thing. And like it was just super, like it was charged up. We all had history because we did the fucking flashback, which I think might be one of the first times I ever did something like that. So it really built Lash's character and that area, and we knew what was at stake. Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, I think actually like that thinking now, like that was probably my favorite part of the campaign, because that was a really cool moment for like everyone in the campaign too. Like after dying in the Underdark, that kind of like brought the team together, and then that and like the burial, and then Walter jumping in and Vasilius leaving. That was a really, really cool moment, because like that was I think a month there of like you said, just charged. Because it was super fucking awkward for like Tuesday and I to be in that town the entire time, right?
Yeah, totally.
And the chat the whole time was going like, oh man, oh they're gonna find it, she's gonna find it, oh, she's gonna find it, oh, like the whole time. So that was really good.
Yeah,
it's weird, like the relationships as well that's fucking developed between everyone. It's so strange to see how it's gone, because there's been some like will they won't they's between Lash and Raja and Strings, and then Lash and Raja again. It's like, don't even get me started on Miami Blossom. But like, it really put like a nail in a coffin on one of those there, and forced that to kind of play out the way it did. It was good.
It was a cool story. I'm glad
I
that arc
enjoyed
played
it.
out like that instead of like how chat probably wanted it to play out, or even
It's
how
weird
I wanted it
like,
to.
It's also for me like one of those things that I didn't plan.
Mhm.
Like I know that I have stuff planned, and like I had this cave, and it was obvious that you guys were going to go there, so I prepared the thing which was Lash centric, but it ended up being so much more because of like String's death and stuff. And yeah, it was weird. And we all knew that kind of like there was this extra element going on because Raja and Carlias were in like a are they dead thing, and they're gonna do this. What is happening there? I feel like we'll bring it to a close, but we'll do. I said that we'll do some Q&A stuff. So if anyone's got any pressing questions in the chat for the cast, we'll do some quick fire questions instead of, because we might as well.
Yeah.
And then we'll bounce. And next week we'll run an episode. I'm tempted to set up some sort of, if Fairlight's asleep, I'll have another thing prepared.
I will not let that happen again. Man, sorry. I feel bad. I'm sorry. Missing an appointment is like having an arm ripped off.
It
It
does feel horrible. Please don't make yourself feel any more
Kenneth-
horrible.
Kenneth Litch, dude. Brad.
No,
Brad's
no,
got to.
I'm not doing any prediction stuff. You can't just be like, when will they win the campaign and flight? I can't predict anything, and I'm not going to give you any answers to things that are going to be in like the upcoming episodes and things. But if you like random questions,
Here's a good one.
Go on.
What do you regret the most? Carlias, go. Or Connor, go.
He's only got one option. He can't answer anything else.
Oh, fucking hell. Come back to me. I'll have to think on that.
All right. Tenchi? Arden?
Not having Arden do more. I had him kind of too much in his own head a lot of times, and having him space out, so I had to kind of space out a little too. Also not having Cran around anymore.
I miss Cran, dude.
I miss Cran.
Yeah,
I wanted to
I
touch
miss
on
Cran,
that. I
too.
miss Cran.
Yeah.
Crime was good, but like he's another one of those characters that I'm glad we only saw a little of.
Yeah,
Instead of
that would have been fucking
over-
annoying after a while.
Oversaturating the character. Like now he's like this legendary status, but if he'd been with you this whole
Right.
time, he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I was thinking of ways to make him cameo before. He's gonna show up with like a message from Vasilius like, "Yo, fuck you." But I haven't really. Yeah, I don't know. Got any regrets, Tuesday?
I really don't. It'd be easy for me to say, boy, I shouldn't have opened that backpack and got stuck to that blanket, which we then had to piss on, but that ended up being amazing.
The piss blanket is.
Yeah,
I
so
feel like
I-
that's yours, Jay.
Oh, I missed that
I
one.
would have opened
That is one thing I don't regret.
I
was
miss the piss blanket.
telling you guys to piss on
The
that.
piss
Piss blanket would have
blanket.
fucking saved Thin Dude. Would have done it. He just
We
fucking
could've-
ran up, covered that thing with the piss blanket.
We
Done.
could've just chucked it up into the sandstorm, and within a few seconds, all the sand would be stuck into one little glob on the floor.
Remember quickfire, Fairlight.
There's been a few scenarios where I feel like it would have been a good opportunity for more dialogue and RP, but we skipped over it because we were trying to do something else, and I kind of wish I had slowed it down, so to speak, and said, no, he wants to talk to this person. Like, there's been like 2 or 3 moments where I feel like there would have been like really good character building between him and Carlias, between him and Walter, and between him and Lash, those 3 specifically. Or I feel like realistically he would have stopped and tried to talk to them here, but I didn't want to slow down the pace of the campaign. But I think in the future I'm just gonna be like, no, shut up, you can all wait. I'm doing character building, you know?
Yeah. Jay, yours is piss blanket, right?
No, probably
No?
that fucking old woman on the train.
Oh, the
Oh, really?
regret is that?
I mean,
moving-
no, I don't know, because it's like bittersweet, because I
You don't really
the
regret that,
meme.
and you know it.
No, because
bigger-
it made
the bigger
Wilfred
picture.
LaFrance, right? Like the bigger picture,
Exactly.
yes. But I regret not being able to play Kenneth because of that. Because like then I got in my own head about it. So yeah.
Hold on, I missed this part of the conversation.
Uh,
Why? Well, go on. I don't want to
Go
cut
on.
off Connor.
No, I'll yeah, definitely agree with you, Fairlight. There are times where I had that feeling of maybe Carlisle would want to have a conversation with all of the members of the group at one point in time, and really build upon the RP and dialogue. But as you said, like, didn't want to slow down the pace of the campaign and such.
Yeah, I think it happens. Like I do it a lot as well. I come away and I'm like, man, I should have just let them fucking breathe there, or let this happen there, or that. I think it's just a shoulda, woulda, coulda thing. Although I do think I leave you quite a lot to just talk, and often you guys just like it's like either you talk for fucking ages or you don't talk at all. But this campaign's been a weird one in terms of like the pacing, just because I think it's been a lot of either city, no combat D&D, normal dungeon delving type things where you're just doing kind of character building and moving around and doing these like almost side questy things, and then you do a few episodes where it's very D&D, like combat on the move, roll some dice, and so it's a weird stilted way to build character, which overall I think has actually worked quite well, but it's not something that I was practiced in and prepared to do, so the pacing of that was quite weird for me as a DM as well. But to be honest, I think you've actually all built pretty well-rounded characters. Like I think we know who's who and what their motivations are. Yeah, and stuff like that. What's another question here that we have? Jay, I've lost track of everything.
I've mostly answered a couple of questions in chat.
What is that guy's name in Walter's head?
Oh, Balgaresh. Yeah, Balgaresh.
Yeah, Balgaresh.
Oh, what happened to Balgaresh? Here's a funny thing is that like it just made me like, you have not questioned it, Jay.
No, I've sat there as Jay, right, and been like, okay, I figure Brad's just pushing this forward, right? Because there's been a couple of like opportune moments where like I was like, no, okay.
Yeah, no, I just like,
didn't question it because I felt like we're on track right now, right?
Well, so... I'll put it this way: he is gone.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not just a thing where I forgot about him or anything. Like he's gone. And yeah, you just haven't like brought it up yet. And again,
I've been wondering
it's something.
Yeah, same.
And I just didn't want to ask because I didn't want it to be like, well, I'm meta, you know, like I don't want to.
I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to ask like, is he still there? Like, can I talk to him? Because I felt like that'd be
it's
too
a thing
much.
that again, it's another one of those I'm not going to give you any concrete answers about because I'm not sure if we'll visit it. And also, it's probably something that Walter will probably RP out at some point as well. But he isn't there anymore. He's no longer possessing Walter. And he, like, I guess Walter just didn't know, but it's just, he's no longer there. He's not winding you up. He's not speaking. And he isn't with you anymore. And also that also, I see a question that's like, who was the real killer in the murder mystery in Lost Stone? It's another thing that I don't want to like concrete answer yet, because there's still the chance that we can revisit that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like
damn.
We'll see. We'll see.
Man.
But like, yeah, I've
funny.
been kind of waiting for you to mention it, or someone to even mention it at all, and I just left it because I thought it'd be interesting to see.
It's funny because I was waiting for you to mention it, so because there was a couple of moments in the past couple.
I didn't know
episodes.
how to either, other than because I don't really, because this is your character. I don't want to like kind of put words in your mouth and be like, you feel a spirit leave your body, and like unless you do like a Final Fantasy X sending kind of thing. But I feel like this is one of those situations where that wouldn't happen anyway. So also I just kind of wanted to leave it, and I was like, I'm just going to see if he ever mentions it or whatever.
Funny. Yeah.
But I've had Balgaresh winding you up the whole time, and he just stopped doing it, and I was like, surely that's enough. And it hasn't.
That was enough for me, right? I was gonna say, there's been a couple of moments where like I wanted to bring it up, or like I had the thought, but then maybe somebody jumped in or something else happened, and I also was just like, oh well, Brad would bring it up if it was a thing, right? And they're already doing something. Fuck it, like whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I've started to slowly take the training wheels off as well with you guys. Like I don't really put things in front of you as much because you guys question all the right things. Like you kind of know what you're doing, and you're playing the game. You know each other. You know who I am. What's generally going on, and I don't need to. I feel like I don't need to like babysit as much what's going on with you all. So I like to just let things happen naturally now, because a lot of the time it's quite fruitful. Like if you, like we've brought it up today, but if say we were playing the game, you'd just brought it up. Like, is this Balgaresh here? I'll be like, no, you'll notice that he's been very quiet at least.
Wow.
You know, that kind of thing.
That's gonna bug me more now, is not knowing.
I gotta say,
left.
Some favorite parts for me of the campaign were definitely the interactions between Walter and Balgaresh, because they had me cackling at times. It's
So
just
stressful.
feeling like how stressful or frustrating that would
Oh my
be.
God.
Trying to
You know what's funny?
control your character.
There was like 2 times where that was happening in the beginning, where I was going through like a month of anxiety issues too. So it was just fucking it was chaos in my mind during those scenes. I loved it though. At the end of it, I was like, oh man,
real.
I hope that was funny, because that was too real. It really was.
The best part was when Brad was like
That was
annoying you intentionally
Yes.
as Balgaresh while I was also
Oh my
yelling
fuck,
at
that
you.
was the fucking moment. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah,
It was so good. Like, and
Jay
Walter
froze.
Walter, are you
Like,
listening?
Yeah, I froze. I my brain.
But
just
it was
went-
beautiful because that's kind of like how it would be
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Like it's
Totally.
it's really hard. I think props to you guys because you're all really good at RPing things out.
Mhm.
And I think it's really hard to think about things like that, like getting your head around the fact that you are possessed and there's a person in your head. Like you could play that pretty straight and just like make sure until you wait your turn to speak. But really, I think it's more fun to just bomb the player
Yeah.
and be like, no, you're in this now. You want to be possessed
Yeah.
by shit.
No,
You're possessed by this.
You did it
fucking
really
dude.
well. You've done it really, really well.
And
Great, that's-
yeah, I tried not to be like annoying with it, but I definitely wanted to like ham home that like, hey, this guy's annoying because he's an annoying dude. Like
Yeah.
he's a fucking criminal. Like he's one of the stone men.
Mhm.
And like yeah, like you're having to try and hide it from
Yeah.
the others.
Yeah.
And it was a good
And he
moment to
wanted
just
something.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
another-
enjoyed that.
Example of the supreme immersion, that I feel
Yeah.
like we get
Yeah.
to experience.
I think the one
Any
thing
last
I-
questions? We'll just roll your questions in because I'm going to end the stream soon. Go on.
Leading off of the immersion of it, I think after all of the fighting pit, the dying and everything like that, when we were walking through the desert and you were starting to see Carlias so frustrated and like those moments where he'd be like just burst out and shout at everyone. For me, it may seem really odd to say, but like I really enjoyed having that chance to just let the steam kind of blow off from Carlias, because at the start of the campaign he was that silent type, and then he kind of got a little bit more talkative, but by the end I feel like as of late he's been more so frustrated and he's got that anxiety of I've got a fucking dragon after me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. I've got to figure out what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
Days are
It's funny.
numbered.
Carlias
So
is
to
like
kinda-
always on the defense now in conversations. It's kind of
So
funny.
to kind of
Yeah.
blow up and be like, I remember when we were going up against the Rex, like
The
you're gonna
good
die.
thing, the good thing about the dragon is that it generally won't leave Sin River. So really,
tell him that
what's
now.
realistically happened, kind of meta, like Carlash should still be anxious, but is that you can't go back to Sin River really, or you've got to sort it out. But yeah, like that dragon will fuck you up if it ever sees you again. You do also have another. I mean, you guys all have another dragon up after you now. Anyway,
No, we don't.
There's a
No, we don't.
there is
Nope.
another
No,
one.
there's
out
not.
there.
No, there's
No,
not.
we're fine.
No, there's not.
So
Is that
I
the
mean,
one from Ilios, or
No, that's the
Yeah,
one
no,
that I
there's
woke
that
up
one
in the
too.
cave. Okay, there's three,
Which
there's-
might be the one from Ilios,
Yeah.
considering we do have like an MCU thing going on. We have a Tablestory cinematic universe building where there's these like little crossover things, and by God, do I wish that we had played this game today, so you can see another shitty reference that I threw in. It's just you'll see next week.
You need to get an overarching world map of like all of the like have Ilios as a separate continent from Dustvale.
We need a.
We've
we
talked
need
about
a.
it, I think.
Yeah, and we also kind of agreed, me and Jay, when we were
Yeah.
saying like let's have these things exist in the same way that a lot of comic books have their like multiverse thing. Like I think we've
Yeah.
agreed that like our things, I've always had it. All of my fucking campaigns have been linked in some way anyway. And honestly, one of the main links was Captain Ward Parkler, who's a character that's appeared in everything. Yeah, I have a thing where I like that linkage thing. I've always been a
Yeah.
fan of the like multiverses in comics, and Stephen King always does these shitty little links in his books and stuff, and I love that kind of thing. So me and Jay discussed it, and there is definitely a link between all of our shows, and sometimes they're a lot like a harder link and a looser link. Like Gamil was in this, and like
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're
it was
like right
like-
in your
And that-
face. Like we
that
reference
for-
something
Yeah.
directly
Yeah.
from Storm King's Thunder.
But sometimes, like I litter Easter eggs through all of my campaigns and
Mm.
shit, like all the time. I
I'm
love that side
guilty
of
of
it.
doing that. I remember in Storm Kings, like the amount of fourth wall breaks and references I do.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, and
transitioning over into Dustveil, like Gamil, I mean, the big reason why Carlias wouldn't go into the fighting pit because he was saying like how his great uncle lost a friend in the fighting pit, which is a throwback to Storm Kings. So.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like is this a thing? And I love that kind of stuff, and I'm a huge fan of it. And we did kind of agree that was going to be a thing. So
Yeah.
all that kind of little, they're just Easter eggs, really. Like for the true narrative, I'm like, it's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
There's been no Ward Buckler in Dustveil, they say. You fool! Someone hasn't been watching close enough.
He's been here the whole time.
Yeah, or
Let's go
maybe
some fun of-
I'm
Oh.
just making you go back all the way to the beginning and you'll watch the whole thing through, and I'll reveal them in episode 43. Go on.
When are the D&D characters Royal Rumble one shot going to be? Tomorrow. Fairlight is DMing it on his
Tomorrow.
channel. Tomorrow.
Yes.
No, we don't know.
We don't
One
know.
day.
It's a ridiculous logistical clusterfuck to try and set up. And I think we'll definitely do it. And I think
Yeah.
we should do it for like a charity event because it will be so big, and just to get all these people in one place, it seems like we should try and make it worth it in some way.
Mhm.
But there's no way that we're anywhere near.
If you would like to do the logistical work of getting 30 people together in one day, 30 streamers together in one
30
day,
streamers. There's
for
a very
free.
big difference.
What if it wasn't just on one day? What if
I
it was
can't even.
No.
I can't even get
Yeah, one
one
day.
person to show up consistently on a nightly basis to play Warhammer. So
I can't even get one person to show up on a Wednesday night for my
Oh.
show today. But
the bait was too strong.
Are you gonna talk to me about attendance after I've been here every single week for the entire campaign this entire time, and I finally missed one? Is that what we're doing?
That is
no,
true.
no. I'm just
Remember,
memeing you
even I
right
had
now.
Remember the Christmas one where I was like, do, and you guys were like, where the
Oh my
hell's
God.
Susan?
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
that.
On the couch.
That was.
On
Yeah.
the couch.
You're playing Rust or whatever.
So I just played
The-
Rust for 7 hours.
Oh, I've got a question since we're taking questions right now. This one's for Connor. The heck? Why was Gamil like wrestling Lash in the cave, like trying to get everyone killed when you could have just run to the exit?
Oh yeah,
That was a good question.
I've always wondered that.
So Gamil in Storm Kings, he lost someone that was small. And Gamil was like, he was fucked up from all the transition from over all the tentacle sucking into the mist shit.
Yeah.
But it was more of a sense of he didn't want to let go. He didn't want to be alone. He knew shit was going down. So he was more like, I need someone here kind of a deal.
Aha.
He didn't want to summon the direwolf Mickey from his amulet because he was like, no, Mickey's too valuable to him.
Too precious.
And so when you, did you try and?
Yeah, I tried to get
get him?
past. Yeah, I tried to bounce.
I think you tried to do that, and it just kind of like, it triggered something in him, and he was like, no, I can't. No.
Wow.
That makes sense. That makes
He
sense.
got fucked up from all the not being
Like-
where he was, and he.
Yeah,
I
like
think Brad, you said he thought he knew where he was from, but he couldn't.
Well, yeah, I fucked with your character's head because we knew you were going to be sort of temporary, so we were like, let's just throw Gamil in because Storm Kings was ended. Storm King spoilers a little abruptly because I had the intention of throwing you guys into a Ravenloft campaign, which is a setting which has a place called Darkon, and in Darkon, the longer you're there, the longer your memories of where you're actually from erode, and you start to believe it's a curse, and you believe that you're from Darkon. So everyone who gets dragged there from wherever will slowly lose their memories of where they're actually from, and it fucks with your head. There's a Lich King there who does this. And essentially, we had this thing where we ended Storm King's Thunder, I had the intention of running this campaign, so I kind of half had an idea and half wrote some stuff, and then I scrapped it and I ended up making Dustval instead because I wanted to do something homebrew instead of running another thing that was made by some other people. So when we brought Gamil in, I was like, wouldn't it be fun if we actually answered some of those questions that people had of like what the fuck happened to the Storm King's crew? And it's just, again, it's just little bullshitty Easter eggs that honestly most people probably would never fucking pick up on or even care about. But it's this thing where it's like we had Gamil. If you watch the whole of Storm Kings, you know who he is. If you then watch all of Dustval, you get a few little peppered answers of like, oh, they went to Ravenloft. They had their memories fucked with. What happened there? Gamil's slightly older, wasn't he? And he was scarred up and he had a tentacle phobia and shit. So it answered a few little questions just for some diehards. Again, that's another thing I love doing. I love just throwing little things in. There's a couple of people that when someone comes to me on Twitter or in the Discord or something and just goes, oh, this specific Easter egg that you've peppered in through 3 of your campaigns, are they linked? I'm like, you are the one. You're the reason. Fuck all these guys. Fuck all these fuckers playing. You're the real reason I fucking did this, because that is my fucking shit right there. When you fucking someone comes to me and they've seen all the little Easter eggs and shit. There's a couple of people that have done it. And I love it.
It was like with the medallion that Carlias had. Not many people picked up on the fact that that was a sign saying Gamil was related, but none of the group told Carlias about Gamil, so he doesn't know the group met him.
Yeah. So I think we'll end it there because this is just going to be us rambling forever.
We'll go on for 6 hours.
And yeah, we answered some questions and we had some fun. And it's not over yet. We still got more to do. And I think when this campaign ends, like, remember all your questions that you had, like who was the real killer and all that shit. I'll answer it all, but I don't want to answer any of those questions. So you hold on to those questions because I'm more than happy to fucking talk all day about it one day, but not until they've finished everything, because I don't know what is spoilers and what isn't. It's weird. I will say though, the campaign is bitterly close to ending at this point. In terms of what I had planned for the narrative, you guys are very, very near the end of what I had planned from like the general A to fucking Z of the Dustval story, and I've learned that when that reaches that point, that's when I fucking pull the plug. I don't fuck with it no more. So you guys will pretty soon, like this is pretty close to coming to a close. This would have been episode 37. I think next week will be episode 37, and I'm not predicting how many it will be, but it's gonna be we're definitely closer to the end than the beginning. And then I was thinking we'll do some wrap up stuff afterwards. So even when you guys complete the story that I had planned,
New Game Plus.
Yes. Well,
DLC,
Tenchi was calling it DLC, which is what it would be. It's I want to do some epilogue episodes that don't take you forever to get, because if we wanted to do them, they're going to take place in all different parts of Dustval and all these post game fun that's not related to anything serious or related to your quests and things. They're just like side quests that I wanted to run with you guys as you traveled around, but just it's not really going to happen. And I don't want to force you guys to go across the whole map, and it's like weeks and weeks of travel and all this other stuff. So I'd still like to do some of those things, but I do think we're coming quite near to the end of Dustval, and then we'll probably do some epilogue things, and then that'll be the end of it. Snake, it's not over yet, but it's getting there. So thanks for watching, everyone. It's a good chance to say thanks to everybody, since we're all kind of out of character and I'm not actually knackered. Normally by now, or by the end of the stream, it's like 1 a.m. and my brain is fucked. I don't know any other DMs out there get that. My brain is dead by the end of one of these sessions, and I'm just like, no, watch another thing at the end, bye. And I don't. But appreciate everybody that comes out, everybody that watches this shit with this fucking crappy cast and me as a shit DM on this stupid channel. And everyone that picks up on the Easter eggs, and everybody that fucking does fan art and sticks around in the Discord and stuff. dope. It makes it so much more fun to play, I think, when we actually have people that are interested in watching and that come out, and because it's a long time to dedicate to watching this show, and everybody watches on the VODs and things. Appreciate ya. Should we just end it? Everyone knows where everyone is. Go follow all these. Go follow all these peeps. Mr. Brotato, Mr. Connor Cronus, Mr. HJ Tenchi, Ms. Tuesday Gray, and of course the tardy one, Mr. Fairlight _.
No, he's
Excalibur. That's it. That's my last one. That's my last.
Your last jab.
That's my last jab. Fairlight, you have to show up next week though. Next, you have to be. I can't do it without you. After that, you can never show up again, and I will be able to run it without you. But
I intended to show up today. I set 3 alarms, but my body was just like, "Nah, bro, you're done."
It is cool. It's cool. The other sucky thing about DMing online is like the epic fucking time zones and finding a nice balance. Like I'm tired as fuck by the time we start these. Jess has just woken up and shit, and like it's I appreciate you guys coming out and playing as well, players. And next week we'll do the episode 37, which is called Young Raja.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Wait,
so
we're doing the flashback after all.
Flashback episode. And then you can find out what happened to all your characters after 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out. A-Town.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end, truly.